Welcome to case study number 8. In this video, we are going to model a eyelash color. Let me drag the reference image into Blender, select the reference image, Shift S, cursor selection to cursor, and just drag it up. And for this particular model, we have 3 different reference image, front view, side view, and top view. So it's gonna be a little bit more, and also you can see this is a little bit complicated to do. And I'm gonna Shift D to duplicate it, hit RZ90, and hit Enter. If you go to the side view, so we can reload the image that we want to use for the side view. Now we found the side view image, just load it in and probably grab it around here. Now just put that in the center, and then we're definitely gonna readjust the reference image once we start modeling. Okay, so we can do a quick rename, side view, this one, front view. Always have this habit to rename your file while you're working. It's actually gonna save you quite a bit of time later on. Then next thing, we're gonna go to the top view, and we're gonna do Shift A to adding an empty. This time find the image, and now we open. Now we're just gonna select the top view and load it in. Okay, open image. So now we don't know how big is this, but I'm just gonna quickly scale it up a little bit. So everything should be good to go by now. And I'm probably gonna dial down the opacity for the reference image a little bit. So for the side view, I'm gonna do 0.7. Okay, should be good. And then we're gonna work on the top view later. Okay, for this one, as you can see here, this is kind of a little bit complicated. It looks like a Caesar type of structures. So we're gonna modeling one part by one. So for the side view, it looks very nice defined shapes. So I'm probably gonna start with from the side view. For this particular model, it's very smooth and it's a round shape. So I'm thinking to use a cube and then utilizing the subsurface modifier with it. So you're actually going to generating with that. So for this time, I'm just not gonna using the cylinder. I'm gonna do cube. Okay, and now I can quickly just disable all these selection mode for these reference images, so I won't accidentally selecting these. Okay, Shift A to adding a cube. Go to the mesh cube right here, and then we can just shrink it down here. Hit G and Z to grab it on top. Alt Z, go to the X-ray mode. Hit Tab, edit mode. I just shrink it down a little bit more. As you notice, the middle section for this connecting part is a little bit wider than the actual body when we're actually moving down. So I'm just gonna move it here. At the same time, you see this is have a certain angles on the face. So I'm just gonna hit R to rotate. It's trying to align with this the best I can, and because you can see the reference image is not that high resolution as well, and that's what's gonna happen sometimes when you using a sketch or using a design or even just download some reference image from internet. You won't have any high resolution images anyway. So this is just something that I wanted to show you. It's totally doable, but I just need to understand how to conquer these challenges. Okay, I'm selecting this face and hit the right side view, hit G to grab it down here, and then roughly around here, and then I'm gonna hit the E one more time, come down here, I hit S to scale it down right here, and now you can see where it's kind of shrinking the entire size, but once we apply subsurface modifier, you will see the difference. So without just keep saying this, I'm going to show you how to do this. Select this, Control 2, and then you have 2 level of subsurface modifier apply on, which you can do. You can just temporarily disable the real time on the monitor, so you will see what's going on quickly. Just enable that. Very easy to use. So go to the tab, edit mode, select this face again. So we're gonna kind of continue extrude the whole face. Hit the E and just grab that. Okay, and now we can just kind of see this is kind of long, so we basically can just hit G to grab it all the way here, and this is roughly about the size. and you know once the subsurface modifier is applied on, it's gonna shrink the size a little bit. So what we're trying to do now is just working as much as we could without having this enabled. So we will do some minor adjustment accordingly later on. Okay, and then hit E and extrude it, and then as you can see here, this is off this curve, so I can just hit G to grab it. At the same time, I want having this a little bit turning really better. I can just hit R to rotate it, so like this, and just adding more segment. So you don't have to really do a small segment, that's okay, but all you need to do is just making sure that all this distance roughly about even. Okay, here's that G, and I can grab it here and hit R to rotate it. We can certainly adding more loop cut if things doesn't really come out the way that you want it, but certainly we will just continue to do this. Hit E and G to grab it and rotate it. E, G, rotate it. So it seems like it's wiggling, but once we having the subsurface modifier turn on, it looks much better. Okay, E, G, grab it here and hit R to rotate it, and making sure you are in the right side view. Okay, so when you hit R, you don't need to worry about accidentally to rotate in different axes. Okay, E, grab it in here, R, and E, G, R, E, G. Let's do R one more time. Grab it here, and then I can just select this one. Actually, for this part, it's getting much bigger, so we can just simply drag that vertices. That's the one advantage, that using a really small amount of vertices you can quickly block out the shape really quickly. So I'm thinking should be fine. I'm just going to enable the subsurf and just take a look at it, how things go. So once we did this, yeah, you can see it certainly doesn't look terrible at all. So we can do here, Alt Z to come out, we can do some minor adjustment. Okay. And then another thing you can do, we can even just enable this on cage, so you will see the exactly vertice on the body. So if it would do this, it's kind of like wrap it up a little bit. So what you can do here, you can just hit Alt click, you can just select the entire loop, right? And then you can just simply just grab it. That'll help you better to visualize and the grabbing things along the based on the reference image. Okay, G to grab it, you can Alt click, G to grab it, you can do that, G to grab it. Same thing, we're just kind of getting things organized a little bit. Okay, for this part, I just disabled this on cage. We certainly need to add a loop cut, because you can see here, this is it's not supposed to be round, so we just need adding a support loop to kind of helping this. Control R and push over here, and then should be good. And then what I did do, I just gonna do right click, shade smooth, and then it's all right. And I can even just select all these vertices in here. We can do some adjustment, just kind of push up a little bit, kind of sealed a little better. But realistically, it doesn't supposed to having like completely merged. There's some tiny bit edge between, so you can certainly do that. If you think this is not smooth enough, we can bump up the viewport level and make it a little more smoother, so it should be good. So 3 levels, pretty good. And then I can select the entire body, and that feels like this is getting a little bit smaller, shrink it, because the nature of subsurface modifier, just getting everything smooth. So I'm thinking to hit this entire thing, hit S, and to scale it up. And before I do that, I'm just gonna change the origin to the geometry object. Go to the origin to geometry. You don't have to do that. I just feel like we want to do something a little better. And hit S, just scale it up a little bit. Okay. So from the front view, and this is a good time that we needed to adjusting the reference image according to our mesh. This is the perfect time. Alt Z to go in. For this part, we did a perfect job according to the side view. So go to the front view. I'm making sure my reference image for the front view is also lined up with our mesh right now. So we just need to getting this figured out. Okay, I hit S to shrink it. Oh, this is the top view, my bad. Top view, and this is the front view. Okay, so I'm making sure it's front view to select it and hit that. I'm just gonna go inside to see how this reference image looks like. Okay, so it looks like a little bigger because our mesh is stopping right there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select the reference image, G and Z to go grab it, and also hit S to shrink it down, I think. Okay, come out, and front view, GZ to kind of push down here a little bit. Okay, side view is fine, and I'm not quite sure where is the front view stops, but it seems like if I'm rotating, it seems like the front view stop right here. I think they are about to align up, and also you will know when we keep modeling this, we will having some adjustments on based on the reference image. And to be honest with you, a lot of times when you're modeling a product, you don't have this perfect front view and side view images with you when you do that, and you just need to use your professional judgment to getting the best result you think it looks like. And unless you have really good precise product print and that you want to do, then you can do that. So for this one, I feels like about right, and I'm just gonna continue working along the side view. Okay, hit that, hit tab, go to the edit mode. I'm gonna continue extrude this top part and the body and along the side view. Okay, I'm gonna hit the E and come up in here, and you notice that from the front view, it's actually this is the body part that is gonna separate to two parts. So it's not a one single solid stuff. So when in here, this is probably the point that this one metal is gonna separate into two. So we couldn't see too much just from the reference image. So I think it's around in here, because this is the front view, and there you have a certain distance in here, and then you wouldn't see that much. It's just that's kind of one thing that's called shortening on your from perspective. So that looks very short, and but it's actually have a distance in here. You know what I mean? Okay, so I think that what we need to do here, I'm just going to enable this one. I'm just gonna hit edit, and then I'm gonna adding a loop cut to cutting this entire body into half, which is also we need to do that anyway for our mirror modifier later. Okay, Control R to adding a loop cut, right click, then we are good in here, and then I'm just gonna select all the left side vertices in here, and I temporarily move this one away, so it's kind of bothering me. And this, and I think this is cool. What I would do next, I can hit X to delete the vertices, and this is the half the body, and then I can add in a mirror modifier. Come in here, do a mirror modifier, and then making sure to move this mirror modifier up above the subsurface modifier. So we will do this first and come out. That looks all right. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do here, we're just gonna grab this part, and then we're gonna separate them out. Okay, G to come down a little bit. I believe this is the part that we are going to separate them. Yes, it's around in here. So what I'm thinking now, because from the front view, it looks like this is the parts that separating things, but it's not really. Is the geometries in the based on the big side view. This is from the other. From side view, you can see these are supporting things from the other half of the Caesar structures, and for this one, this is from the body, the main body from the other one. For this, the one we're modeling. So what I would do here, I just gonna do some judgment call right now because this front view doesn't look very accurate for me. So I'm just gonna do by my eye and just gonna getting these properly done. Let me see. I can even actually just grabbing this part away from here. If I do this, I think that's about right. Maybe I was wrong because this part, if we can just grab them out in here, it seems like it's fitting the proportion pretty accurate. So if I can do this, then I just gonna continue to gonna E and grab this part and hit G to align with the reference image. Let's see what we can do here. Select these, okay, and hit G to grab it. And we can actually adding another loop cut to kind of support that. Control R to do that. Just getting the body line up better. Okay, this one. Okay, so coming down here a little bit better. Okay. Honestly, I think this part need to be sealed. So what I'm thinking now, I think I'm gonna forget about the front view one more time. So I'm just gonna grab these, go in here and come back up in here, because this is the section that both handles gonna merge and interact. So I'm going to save some room for them for sure. I just gonna slide this up, push them in, and then making sure this face is gonna filled. So select these vertices and that, hit F to fill that. So the entire body is supposed to stop somewhere in there. Select this one, GZ to kind of move up a little bit. Come back in here and go to the solid mode to see what's going on here. And making sure you having this clipping turned on, so whenever you having extra vertices in the middle, you can just hit X to kind of merge them. So that should be pretty good, as you can see. And temporarily disable this reference image. You can see this is the structure that we're building now. I'm thinking to select these two vertices and just kind of grab it up because they need to have some volume for sure. So this is what it's supposed to look like in here. And the next, I'm just gonna making sure these faces get filled. Okay, hit F to can do that. And then once I did this, I just select these two and hit F. They will continue to fill up the rest of these. So this looks good right now, and it looks like a little bit flat, but we will adding some geometries to kind of tweaking around in here. But so far it's okay. And let me enable the reference image. Come back. Okay, select this top face. I'm gonna go to Alt Z X-ray mode, select this top face, and then we're gonna continue to getting this curvature in the correct. Okay, put in here and hit E to come back, hit R to rotate it, G to grab it in here, and then we're building this very outside the structures right here. So hit E, okay, in here, and hit E one more time, just get that, and hit I to insert it. Okay, and then come out from the reference image, and this part definitely become very flatter, and you see this is a little bit round shape. So what we can do here from the top view, we definitely need adjusting the reference image a little bit better. Select the top view reference, and we can just do that, shrink it down. Let's try to get the best we can, and you see that's still not very helpful. So for the top part, I'm hoping these things can get it right, but you know, the limited amount of information for this reference image, it can be a little bit challenging, but I think from side view it looks very good. I think we will do some adjustment to getting the volume back for the inner part. Okay, but that is easy to fix. I'm gonna select this body, select this one, and gonna come all the way up, hitting Shift, and then just select all that. and then hit Alt click, and then selecting this entire loop. I can continue do so. So and temporarily disable the subsurface modifier. So to checking all these. I know it sounds a little bit complicated, looks a little bit challenging to do, but this is what the advanced modeling takes. It's just a bunch of different adjustments, and then you're just going to work with it. Okay, so hit G, X, just kind of bump up the volume a little bit. And now this time we're not supposed to move in along the normal. I just gonna go back to global, G, X, just kind of bump it up. Just basically just to pull it over a little bit. And if I'm enable the subsurf modifier, you can see, go to back to the solid mode. Looks a little bit better, a little bit round, right? But this is rounding out from to the outside, so I'm gonna do same thing on the other one. I'm just going to select these vertices and hitting shift, just dragging the boxes, selecting these, disable the subsurf, so I can see all these vertices in here. It doesn't have a whole lot, so I'm just going to manually quickly select all these. All right, so that looks good. Enable the subsurf and hit G and X, and then I'm just gonna increase the volume on this side a little bit to make it looks a little bit round. But that seems like a lot, so I'm gonna hit GX and come back a little bit. Just trying to bump up some volume, but not overdoing it. So I think right now it looks pretty nice to me. See here, this guy, and I'm selecting these two, and go to the front view and hit G to grab them. Because we are using very small number of vertices, so everything is kind of rounded up very strong. So by doing this, we can quickly really kind of changing the shape easily. You can see there's much smoother transitions over here, and we don't need to adding too much geometry on this. But for this part, I'm going to do a support loop, Control R to do that. Just kind of push down a little bit, make sure this one looks a little bit better in this way. So I think this part is all good. Go back to the reference image we have. So it looks very close to what we got. And this part is from the other side view. So I think we're okay from what I'm doing now here. So that's good. We're going to continue modeling the next part. So what I'll do here, I'm just going to duplicate this part to the other one. So because since we're already having a similar geometry, so go to the tab, go to the edit mode. I'm just selecting these up to here. I think maybe a little bit more. One more vertices for this. I think it should be fine. And then what I would do, Shift D to duplicate it, and then hit the P to separate them by selections and tab it out, and then find this one. Well, let's do RZ 180 degree, and then let's move this to the other side in here. Okay, certainly trying to match that. It's not really exactly that way it is, but we're getting there. Hit R to rotate it. So we can certainly do some justification on that. But majority of this is supposed to be like they're supposed to be exactly the same, don't you think? But I just gonna move down here. This I think is getting very close. Hit R to rotate it one more time to adjusting these. I think it should be fine. I'm not gonna really like modeling the exact same according to the reference image, because come on, the reference image sometimes it's just not that accurate. Okay, I'm actually going to delete this side part because it's actually separating the geometry part away, so this is not what I want. I go to the side view, hit the X to delete it, and then let's go back. We can just quickly rename that. We can just do, leg on left. If I do right, I just do leg right. Just trying to separate them out. So here I'm going to working on the right hand side of this leg. So go to the edit mode one more time, select this, and just drag it in here a little bit here to align up the shape. So we will finish these. So next thing, what we're going to do, we're just gonna to continue to work around here and then just getting the shape we want. Hit E and just grabbing here and in here. Hit R to rotate it. Hit R one more time. G to come here, grab this, and then we can temporarily disable the subsurf modifier here, so we can just get that. Grab in here, hit R to rotate it. And then I'm gonna select these vertices and the E to extrude it, and come here, hit R to rotate it a little bit and scale them up, because this is the one that we want to line up with the width. Okay, hit S to scale it up. I think should be fine. And at the same time, you see this is actually scale up along the x-axis. I think this should be fine because it does has kind of volume increase. I'm here. I'm gonna do a loop cut in here and just kind of control that a little bit. Put it in here. So select these and hit E to extrude in here. And I think we can just stop right here around this areas. Hit R to rotate it. And hit E one more time. Come down here and shrink it down. Hit G to grab it. And I think this one we can shrink it down a little bit more because this is kind of like a natural curve in here. So it's not a super accurate per se, but I think it looks just fine. And quickly we're going to getting a different structure right here because there's a hole in here. We're connecting different parts. So I'm just gonna select this vertices and continue extruding. Okay, hit the E to extrude up in here. Hit R to rotate it, and then hit R one more time. Come back here, double G to slide over here. Hit S to kind of get this thing a little bit bigger, and one more loop cut in here. Hit S to shrink it down. Hit G to grab it, and just adjusting the shape. Okay, we'll come out in here. Looks all right. But now what we need to do here, we need to fill this face. Hit the F key to fill that. And also you see this is a ngong, so we need to making sure this is a qua. Now what I do, I'm select these two vertices and the Control R to adding another vertices, just kind of adding a loop cut but without having a loop. And then select these two vertices, hit J to join them. Now everything's in qua. Okay, so if we go to the side view, it looks all right. Okay, so maybe go side view right here. So now let's see, go back in here, and then we can just select this one, hit the E one more time, and shrink it down a little bit because it is supposed to be a round shape in here. And then we enable the subsurf modifier to see how it looks. Okay. Okay, not too bad. Okay, I'm gonna select these and just gonna make it a little bigger. Hit S to scale it up, and it should be good. The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut a hole in here because it's going to connect with another support geometries in here. So it's actually these one, the metal part is gonna push. This is soft rubber part to make the eyelash the curl. Okay, so what I would do next, go here. But the thing is, for this one, we have to have, in order to have the geometry, in order to work around here. So what I would do here, I just going to select this one, Shift D to duplicate it, and right click and hit M to make a backup, and adding a collection, backup. You have seen this so many times. Backup, then hit OK. All right, so this is what we want, and then what we need to do, we're just going to apply the modifier, apply, then we are accessing to all the geometries on both ends. Okay, so that's very nice. And then what I will do, select this, familiar, we're gonna cut a hole, Control B to bevel it, and hit V to kind of like getting that, and to move your middle mouse wheel to kind of getting the shape of the star. Okay, cool. And next we're going to right click, go to the loop tool and go to circle, and immediately we have a circle in here, so we can hit G to grab it and position it, hit S to scale all the way up. And then next thing we are going to do here, we can just simply do another thing. If we do search tool, hit F3, and then what I do, just do bridge edge loops. Okay, so you can search that and hit this and see what's happening. Now it's kind of like cutting a hole and then making sure all these bridges are kind of connected. This is the pretty quick way to cutting a hole right here. And then what you can do next, you can just adding some geometry inside loop cut to kind of bevel that to support the shape. Okay, a little bit better. So now if I'm coming out, looks much better, and this perfect cut the hole in here, so we can build the geometry in here, and then to getting that the other structures over here to get that done. Okay, so that's very nice. I just need to adjusting the shape a little bit. Let's see, Alt Z here, select everything, hit S to grab in here. I think these are, I can just select this one, just grab over here, this one in here. I think this looks just fine, and for this part I probably want them to round it a little bit. Hit Alt click and hit Shift to click and just do that and select this. Oops, and select this holding Shift as well, and hit S to shrink it down a little bit, and then hit G to grab it. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so kind of like this, and then you may thinking, oh, this part is kind of intersect to each other. Well, that's totally fine, and a lot of times that you don't even notice that on your small detail like this, but we will do some modification on that accordingly. So selecting all these, I'm thinking we need to kind of pull the thing up a little bit. Okay, so later on we can just build a fake cylinder right here to make them seems like they're connected directly. That small amount of detail doesn't really worth time to do so, but this is how it works in here. Okay, so for this part, we are going to continue modeling this bar, but from side view it looks like only one bar, but from front view we are going to see this is actually two bars in here. Okay, so what do next? Shift A to adding a cube. And of course, we're gonna having a subsurface modifier with it, Control 2. And this is the best way I found. Is easier to manipulating, and then we just temporarily disable that and hit S to shrink it down here. And then first of all, we need to build a ring around this existing hole right here. So we're going to come over here and shrink it down and just grab that in here. So that's the structure that we will see from the top view side. And they come out and disable all these other legs in here, and you can see this is a ring. Actually, this is a cube. Select the cube, disable that. So that's a kind of a ring structure over here, so we will do that first. Okay, so let's go with the cube we just made, and then just select that, go to the edit mode. What we are going to do here, we realize the top view is not really lined up in the center. I'm going to select the top view and hit just kind of drag in here on the side a little bit to kind of make it a little bit center, so you will see the bars come in and come out. So let's see, grab this, go to the side view, making sure it's positioning in the right place, and then go back, making sure the object region is in the geometry. Set that to here, so we can working from there. So this is now you can see this is the back view of what's happening here. So the top view still not really line up very well. So I'm just gonna grab that, come back here. I think that's about the right, but still not really apply to our current model. I'm just going to model this based on my judgment. Okay, so I'm just gonna select all these reference image. Actually, one of them put in the folder. So this is the thing that I was talking about, making sure you keep things organized. Hit M, do that, and the ref. So I can just do here. I can just temporarily disable all that, and then select these. And if we enable the subsurf, you know that's actually looks like a UV sphere now. So next, I'm going to go to the edit mode and Alt Z, tap. So I'm gonna do a quick loop cut in here. So I'm gonna cut it in half. So, and then I'm gonna select the other half and making sure they're just getting deleted. I can add a mirror modifier right here. So as you can see here, if I'm selecting these, I can just hit G to grab it coming out, and then it perfectly fit into that hole, and then we can just kind of model from there. Okay, so that we're ready to go. Select these and hit GX to kind of grab it a little bit more, because we're gonna cutting one more loop cut in here, and then we're gonna go to the 3 to select this face, and then we're gonna extrude this face out. Okay, hit E and the Y. I'm just gonna get it come out a little bit, and then obviously this one needs to be rotated a little bit, come up in order to fit our reference image. Let's see what we have for our reference image, and on the side view, yes. So we can just hit R to rotate it a little bit, and then let's go to the top view, go to the edit mode, and we're gonna grab it to kind of getting this part in here, making sure that's coming in, and then I'm gonna adding another loop cut, Control R, adding a loop cut in here, and then we're gonna go to the 3 face selection and select this face, go to top view, Alt Z, and going to hit E and X, just kind of come inside it together. Okay, just kind of closing the loop. At the same time, what I want to do, I want to move the mirror modifier up, and also making sure enable the clipping. So if I'm doing this, hit G, X, kind of moving here, it won't go to the other side, and then all the vertices kind of merge together on that. Okay, so that looks very nice. And let's enable the subserve and see how it goes. Okay, not too bad. And I can actually just delete this face, hit X, and the face, delete that, so there's no issues going on with that simple ring. Okay, then next we are going to continue model over the rest of the body, and then actually having the arms build it up accordingly. Okay, so what I would do here, go to the edit mode, and then what I'm going to go select this face, hit F3, select the face, and then go to the side view, hit E, just kind of extrude it out. Get Control R to adding loop cut, support that geometry, then we can keep going and disable the subserve, so we can adjusting it accordingly. So we can just kind of rotate it a little bit, then come out, edit mode, hit the 1, go to the vertex mode, so we can just to go. So now as you can see here, it's supposed to be separating now, so we're facing to a issue that these are the one already merged. So what we need to do next, we're gonna disable the mirror modifier and then grab this thing, come in here, G, X, kind of open it up slightly, and then enable the subserve. And now you can see this is not connected anymore. So we will kind of building along this directions to getting the result that we wanted for the bar. Okay, but that's a rough directions because the top view reference image is not really perfect correct. Well, right now the basic model is according to the side view, so to build this entire model. So we are all good. And hit the, I can actually just hit G to grab it over here, and go to the top view, and the G to hit X to kind of getting that general angle right, and then we're gonna finish the rest of these. And hit E and grab in here, hit R to rotate it, G to kind of come up in here, E and G to grab it, hit R to slightly rotate it. You can just kind of grab it up in here. And for this part, for some of you probably don't see the reference image too much, they actually have rounded up a bigger size of shape. So what I would do next, I'm going to go to the top view. I'm just going to hit ES to kind of scale it up, right, a little bigger, and hit E, and it just extrude a little bit more up in here. And then I'm gonna hit I to insert it, getting a loop cut to support the geometry in here, so you know what's going on here. Okay, so far this is kind of the shape that we're building, and if we enable the subsurface modifier, that's what we're looking. And then definitely there's some issue with this part, so we will fix this for sure. So I'm going to select this vertice, and these two, because in the solid mode there's a big open face in here, so we need to hit F to fill that. So now you can see, as you can see here, this part is not looking very good because this is a long face that the subsurface modifier really run things up. So we definitely need some support loop to kind of getting this transitioning a little better. Control R, and to adding a loop cut, and just kind of push down here a little bit. So that's kind of like what the actual model looks like, straight smooth. So you can see that's open up, and then when you're moving this one's supposed to go push up. Okay, that makes sense, right? Okay, so let's see, go to the reference image and let's see how things going. Okay, so I'm actually going to go up here and select these ones, and this is just a loop cut, and hit R to rotate it, and then come here, hit S to kind of bump it up a little bit. That's what it looks like. And for this, I'm just gonna grab this, move down here, and these, hit R to rotate it, and hit R one more time to kind of support that loop, and it looks nice. Control R, adding a couple more loop cut, and that looks good to me. Okay, so from top view it looks okay, and seems like the angle's about right. And from front view, it seems like this one is not really applicable anymore. So but from side view definitely is good. So for by now, if I disable all these reference image, it's going to look all right. Okay, so we're just gonna finishing the other part. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to adding a fake intersection bar into there. You can certainly do that, cutting holes in there, but this is small details, doesn't really need so much attention to build that. What I would do here, I'm going to do a Shift A to adding a UV sphere. Okay, this time, and that's 32 too much. I can do just 16 again, and then I'm gonna hit R to rotate it 90 degrees in here. Hit S to shrink it down, and just grab it up here, and hit S to shrink it down here. And from side view, still too big. S, come back in here, and then what I would do, I am just going to select half of the face in here, and hit X to delete the vertices, then only have one. And then what we'll do here, I'm going to move this one out in here and adding a mirror modifier. Of course, I'm going to sample this bar as the mirror object, and then what I would do here, I'm going to hit R, select this one, hit R to rotate it a little bit, just put in there fake. It's fake adjointment, but it looks a little bit nicer. Hit S to shrink it down, and then I'm just gonna move in up here somewhere to kind of pretending there's a bar in here is curved to connecting all these joinment. So select all this face, hit the F key, fill it, and hit I to insert it, and then hit I one more time. So that looks nice. And then what I would do, I'm gonna do a subsurface modifier, Control 1, this one should be good enough, and then I'm gonna hit shade smooth, and it looks all right. So from side view, that looks very nice. Okay, so I can just simply grab it in, hit R to rotate it, and just to fit this a little better. You can push it in a little bit, it doesn't really matter, it just to give you a illusion that there is some connection structure in there. Okay, all right, cool. Now what I can do, just do a quick rename, do center point. Okay, just do that, and then let's do here this cube. Well, I can just do pushing bar. How about that? I don't know exactly the name, but just pushing bars. Okay, cool. So you want to know what's going on here. All right, cool. Next part, we are going to model this challenging part. Right now, from the reference and also my experience, if I really modeling this way from this particular angle, it's going to be very tough for us for the entire experience. So what we need to do then, we're gonna shift D to duplicate the reference image, hit the R to rotate it, and it's just gonna getting the model things out from this perspective. So this is actually a bit better. So right now you can see if I'm rotating here and just getting something like a straight bar in here, it's around 40 degrees. So we just need to remember that number. And then what we need to do next, we're just going to kind of model that accordingly, and then kind of rotate the whole process of that mesh. So it should be fine. So again, this is just using the reference of building these. It's already pretty challenging, but we can do this for sure. And shift A to adding a mesh. I'm gonna start with the cube again, hit G to grab it up here, hit S to shrink it down. And also from the reference image, I don't see too much about this thickness, everything, because from the top view you don't see too much content, and also you don't see the thickness. So I'm just gonna judge that accordingly. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna do this, hit S and the Y to kind of shrink it down a little bit, and let's see, grab it over here, and then gonna tap here, go tap and Alt Z, go to the edit mode. So we're gonna start working on along the shape. So as you can see here, this is kind of like curve going on here. So what I would do here, I just gonna grab in here this guy, and then adding a loop cut in here. So I'm gonna make it a little smaller and grab this, G and Y, just getting some curves coming out here, G, Y, come here. Okay, and that also what it looks like. And then certainly we need to have it come out around here. So what we need to do here, I'm gonna go to edit mode, Alt Z, adding a loop cut on the side. So we're just going to do one side of the model, hit X to delete vertices, and then go to the modifier, adding a mirror modifier. And then what I will do next, I'm just going to hit E and X to adding some over here, and then I'm actually gonna hit X and then dissolve this edge, and in here I just going to GX here a little bit. Then what I would do, Control R to adding several loop cut, because we want, I think 4 vertices should be fine. So because we wanted to make a curve around there, and then I'm just gonna select the one part of this edge loops. Now I'm gonna hit G and just drag in here, hit Y, and at the same time I'm just moving my middle mouse wheel, just trying to getting that how much affecting here. Then I can disable that. I just hit G to grab it over here, trying to getting the shape a little better. At the same time, you notice this is not the, we haven't applied these subsurface modifier yet, so we're trying to getting the shapes as much as we can, and before we actually apply that, hit Tab, Alt Z, and select everything up here, hit G and Z to kind of grab it a little bit, trying to get that shapes, and G and Z up here, and that should be fine. And then this part, I believe you actually get a little bit longer than what it looks like on the side. So I'm just going to hit G and Z to grab in here. At the same times, I'm going to adding the proportional editing here, G and Z, and smaller size a little bit, just trying to getting that a little bit smoother transitioning over here. Okay, so in here now, this looks about right, but we certainly can do a lot of adjustment accordingly. So go to here, so I think I can select these three actually, G and Z to come up, disable the proportion editing, G and Z to make it shorter, and then these two, G and Z, then you can see our curve going on here. And then what I would do, adding a subsurface modifier in here, adding 2 level should be fine. And then we're gonna do adding some support loops, but so far that looks good. And then definitely you can see we need to do some better job accordingly to kind of manipulating the shapes a little bit better. GY, so that actually make it looks a bit roundish. And then select this loop cut, right? Control B to bevel that. And then same times I'm scrolling like a 3, so the middle sections remain. So I'm just pushing these one in, select this one, and actually adding one more loop cut. Control R, do that. Double G to push down here, so it has a little bit sharper edge here. This one, double G to push up, and then shade smooth. Let's do that. So that's is good. But then I'm just gonna select all that, hit G to grab it, and hit R to rotate a little bit. This one as well. Control R, adding loop cut to supporting the shape, and let's select all that. Hit R and rotate a little bit. So now we're getting the shapes coming out a little bit better. So I need to fix these because these doesn't look like a line up a little bit better. So what we can do here, we can just select all these circle, all that, and I want to making sure they're straight. So hit B to in the middle mouse button, deselect all the others, and then to just select this one side, I'm gonna hit the S, Y, and 0, kind of flattening them out, okay, so that they're straight. Now same thing apply for these vertices, okay, so I want to making sure they are flattening out, okay, here S, Y, 0, good. So now this looks very sleek on the side. Of course, I believe these are based on the reference image, we are going to kind of tilt it inside. So we don't need to worry about this part yet. So I can hit H to temporarily hide it, and we are looking good on this side, okay? And they can do a little bit minor adjustments, selecting all that. GY to just getting the curves looks a little bit better and refined from top view. And from my taste, I think this is good as it can be. And let's see, I think this is pretty much what I want by now. And this is the front view. Actually, this is looking from the back. If you can hold Control and hit number 1 on the number pad key, so you can go to the back. But we're looking this way. It's more like a front view. So I'm trying to getting things properly. It feels like this particular vertices, and let's see, it's kind of lined up too high. So what I can do here, I'm gonna hit G and Z to drag it down here, so we can have a better curvature. Same thing for this guy, double G to just slide it down here. I think that's a good adjustment over here. And hit double G to push it down a little bit more. I think from this angle, that looks about right, okay? So next part, we are going to model the other half, this areas. Since we already modeled the top part, so it will be a little bit easier to do. What we can do, we can just do shift D to duplicate it in here and move it down here. And then what we need to do, we're gonna flatten out the rest of this body in here. Alt Z to kind of select all these. And this is pretty easy to do. Just select all that. Hit SZ0, and then we can flatten things out. And as you can see here, we have some curvature in here, but that is totally fine from what I see. And we're just gonna select everything. S and Z, just kind of make it a little bit flatter. And then we can have that part figured out, so we can come in here. So this way we can totally nail that surface going on here, okay? So next, I'm gonna temporarily hide the top one, and I'm just going to making sure I need to have some face to insert. Then next, I'm going to insert the top face. What I would do, hit 3, select that, and do this, and then one more, and it should be fine. And then I'm gonna hit the I to insert it, and at the same time hit the B because I need it close to that boundary over here. So I'm just gonna hit the B to kind of getting that inserted. Should be good. This one didn't turn out exactly way I wanted to insert it, but I think it's fine to just kind of manipulating these shapes accordingly. Alt Z to kind of grab that. Double G to kind of slide over here. Double G. Because it does have a little bit complicated geometries by now, so I'm just going to kind of like nail that G coming here to try to getting a good geometry flow over here. Okay, so I think this one, double G coming here, and I think this should be fine. And then what I will do next, I'm going to select all these top faces, these ones, okay, and that one, and then I go to the front view, Alt Z, hit the E and Z to kind of extrude it along the y-axis, E, Z to along the y-axis, and then hit I to insert it. Okay, so that should be fine. And now if we come out, it feels like this is the shape that we want to have, and apparently on the side view this part is little not even to the what we're trying to have, so we can do some changes around here. Alt Z coming here, and to disable the subsurface modifier, go to 1, go to the vertice mode, so we can definitely do something about this. So it seems like there's something going around here. Go and double G to slide it over here. Now to see if this is better. It is better. Then I can select these and just grab it over here. This one, grab it all the way here. Okay, so that is the curve going on here. And G, double G to come here. So that's the small minor details that we're trying to fix, but from what I've seen by now, that looks okay. So I can even bump up the subsurface modifier a little bit more. Shade smooth one more time to see that. That looks okay. And the very last thing what I would do here, we're just gonna adding a soft cushion over here. So for this time, we can for this guy, seems like this part is not really like lined up very well, so I'm going to select these two of that and just double G to slide it over here to make it looks better. Okay, so now it's much smoother, and these we're gonna select that. We can just hit G to grab it. Okay, so it looks much better and smoother over here. So what do we need to do here? We're just gonna creating that kind of like soft cushion rubber thing. Okay, and what I would do next, I'm going to select interface 3, select that. It's going to be smaller, so for sure, so but this is going to be fine. Shift the D to duplicate it, P to select, come out, tab, and then making sure I selecting this guy, and then again Alt Z, go to the edit mode, tab key, hit everything, E and Z, just gonna get something coming out here and growing over here, and immediately looks very nice already. So if I enable the top part, so you can see things coming out. Definitely you'll see this new soft rubber part doesn't have enough volume because we don't have any support loops. So I'm gonna go Alt Z, Control R to adding loop cut, and immediately Control B to bevel that. Just kind of push up. Okay, a little bit. See how it goes. So now what I'm seeing now is this part, it looks too edgy, so I'm going to kind of do some modification in here. So I'm gonna do here for that. So as you can see here, what we're trying to accomplish is we're gonna have a little bit curve going on here. So the best way we can do is just select the top part that we are going to manipulating, and then hit Control I to invert it, and hiding all these parts that we don't want to affect them. Hit I, and then I'm just going to select one part and enable proportional editings. Hit G and Z to grab it, and then I can just kind of scrolling the Minnie Mouse wheel to getting that come up a little bit bigger. So I can just do this way accordingly, and then tab out. Alt Z, yeah, it looks very nice. Okay, come in here, so we can go to top view and see how things going. Checking on here, so it looks fine, and it still feels a little bit too edgy. So what I can do here, Alt Z and Alt H to unhide everything else. I can just to select this loop cut, and I can just let it slide down. Double G to make it a little bit softer. You see, that is much better looking. It doesn't look like some very harsh rubber shape. All right, it doesn't give you that type of feeling. Okay, so because your eyelash is supposed to go in there, and that looks good. So from the back view, so right now the front view, Control 1, go to the back view. I wanted to make a little bit more adjustments on these side. Hit G and Z, and definitely disable the proportional editing. Hit G and Z to kind of grab it in here on the edge. It's gonna looks better. Yes, better fall off. So that is pretty much done here. And what we can do here is just select all these three and just simply just drag them into the collection here. And then what I was thinking is I'm actually thinking to parent all these together. So I'm gonna select everything here one by one, holding Shift, click, and then we're gonna parenting to this one. Control P to parent, and parent to object. Now remember we have rotated something, and then we're gonna rotate it back. I believe it was 40 degrees, but the pivot point for this apartment is supposed to align with the reference image. So what I would do, Shift S to send the cursor to select it. Okay, so now in here, and then I'm gonna change the pivot point to 3D cursor. Now if I'm clicking this guy, if I'm hit R to rotate it, it's rotating from this angle, right? So I can just rotate it and to see if we get around 40. Look at the left hand corner, 40, and then that's the one. And the next thing I'm gonna do here, I just gonna hit G to kind of grab it up here. I'm trying to line up things over here. Okay, in here. Because we're looking the reference image from the orthographic view, so it doesn't have any perspective, and also the reference image as it look a little bit different compared to the what we actually have. So this is pretty good from my judgment on here. Double G to come here. Let's see, and then we can take a look at it. Disable all that. We can take a look at it what we have in here. Definitely we have some parts that already get into there, but we will fix that for sure. Okay, so we're gonna select that. I'm thinking to actually scale it up. Then I'm gonna scale it up, but this time I want to send to change the pivot point to bounding box center. Hit S, X. Just everything is kind of widen up a little bit, and it feels like it's kind of attached to the side. Let's do S, X. Get that done. I think that looks fine, and I'm gonna rotate it along the x-axis, just getting the thing line up. G to grab it in here, and now you can see there was some disconnection between this bar and this part. So what I would do here, so go to the edit mode, select that, hit R to rotate a little bit, G to grab it, and to attach that a little bit better. Okay, so I think by now that looks all right. This guy, maybe move forward a little bit. You can see that just seems very good. And I just noticed this bar seems like not that smooth, so because there's not a whole lot of geometry, so I'm basically just gonna bump out the subsurf to 3. Then that looks much better and smoother now. So I'm actually adding a loop cut, Control R, to kind of support that shape a little bit better. Right there, that should be good. So from what I see now, it actually looks alright by now. And also I'm thinking there's a probably issue. This just seems like a little bit shorter, so I'm actually go to the front view. Let's see what we're having here on the reference. Yeah, it's actually supposed to be a little bit wider. So what I'm thinking now, I'm just going to change this part a little bit wider real quick. So I'm selecting Alt Z to select all that, and I think hit G to hit X to make it wider. At least we need having the width properly line up. Okay, so let me see. And so for this guy, definitely, because this is parenting all these, so all I need to do just hit the S scale along the y-axis to getting that shapes out. Okay, see this? I think this is much better. Hit G to move positioning that a little bit better. We already have the angles lined up, so it should be an easy fix for that. And see what we're having here. Are we having any kind of gaps or interface? Not really. So this one looks good. I think should be fine with the reference image. It's kind of lined up properly. This guy, probably go to the top view and select this loop face, and I want a G to kind of move back down here, and also hit the R to rotate a little bit, just trying to line up better and see, get the shape back. Okay, so seems like everything is attached perfectly. And this one, I would definitely want to bump up the subsurface a little more. It just feels like that 3 level looks good. Okay, so by now, after looking at all these, I think we're getting there pretty well. And then for this guy, for the front view, see the body is width is okay, but feels like it's a little bit thinner compared to the body size. Just gonna close the reference image one more time and to see how things going. Yeah, the arms certainly bump up because we have done some operation, and this I want to make sure it's shade smooth. And I'm thinking we can certainly do something to kind of up the width of this scissors part, handle part, and then come here, Alt Z. I'm just gonna select all of that side. It's a very easy fix. And in here, all we need to do just hit GX to go grab it. Now it looks much better. Okay, so Alt Z and then select this guy. Same thing. I think what we're trying to do here, we can just simply hit A to select everything, hit S, X, just bump up a little bit better so we can align up with what we're seeing here. So by now, I'm thinking after we look at all the details and fixing small minor things, it looks much better. For this part, I can certainly tighten it up a little bit better, and by adding another loop cut, Control R here and Control B, just one loop cut, and then Control R in here as well, Control B to just bevel a little bit. So I think that with that it should be fine, and that looks much better. And by now I think this is the one we are creating, and looks much better. And you can certainly adding some changes on the geometries to getting the shape that you want. For example, if I getting select this edge, I can hit the GX. I can just kind of getting that a little bit rounded and everything. You can certainly do things like that. But by far, I think so far, I think this is okay. Control R to adding a loop cut, hit hit the F key, hit the E key to kind of adding a loop cut in this way. So I think it's fine. Now after checking all the details and doing some minor adjustment, I think this model is finished. And let's go with here, and I think we're doing a good job on to fixing all that. You can certainly do some adjustments to really creating the design that you want, and it's not really going to have one single size fit everything, but the techniques you learn from the modeling these is going to help you quite a bit when you're dealing with complicated models. And one last thing we'll do, we're just gonna rename everything and then adding a cage to ready for the render and texture. Okay, and you already know how to do this. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next case study. Bye.